Hey everybody, I'm Pontoon Jody, and this is the Monster Rod Holders Power Hour. And today we have,
I'm me. I'm Ryan Bortz, Monster Rod Holders Pro Staff. I do kayak catfishing, tournaments, YouTube, all the social media stuff. Try to catch big fish sometimes.
yeah,
That's about
and you've
it.
you've actually went full time fishing now, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yep. Well,
That's
I'm trying
awesome.
to. I'm not very good
Hmm.
at it, but
You're working on it.
trying to get there. Progress, not
Yeah,
perfection, is what they say.
yeah, you're getting there. I think you've been doing great. You've been killing it.
I've been getting the content if I can just get it to be a little better. I'm working
Yeah.
on upgrading some camera gear and some audio gear. You know how that goes. It's
Hmm.
always something that you need to do and change and fix. And but
Yeah.
I guess we're supposed to talk about monster rod holders.
Yeah. Let me say hello to people in chat real quick. We've got
Nobody wants to say
Mike
hello to
Sampson,
me.
and we got Fish from the Mid South. Yalzer says, "Good evening, Jody. Thumbs up, but it's time for sleep in the UK. Work in the morning. Thanks for coming in." Crappie Day Fish On says, "Hello, good people." Ed Jenkins say hello. Cool Cats Fishing says it's time. And Chad Thomas says, "Oh yeah." There's Dustin Winkles. And QC Brown says, "Evening, Jody, Ryan, and chat." And we got Kim Burstyn. Quiet Man Curtis says, "Hello, Jody and Ryan." John Boy's Catfishing. "Hello, Miss Jody and Ryan." 71 and Still Fishing says hello, Jody. We got Nick's Adventures saying hello, everyone. Catfish Dog, Evening, Jody and Ryan. And I think that's all we've got in here right now. 26 people, pretty good crowd. Thank you all for coming in. Smoky Mountain Catfishing says hello, Ryan. And we're here
What's
to
up?
promote Steve
Now,
Douglas and the Monster Rod Holder products. And Ryan's going to show us his rig he's got set up.
so I've got 8 monster rod holders on here, and I have. Let me see if I can figure out how to change this camera around.
I'm going to put you
Nope.
solo. Oop, we got a company right here. Can't miss him. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Toby, Ryan,
How
how
you
are y'all?
doing? I'm doing great.
Here we go. Now I can turn it around.
Hey,
Is
Fresno.
that better?
Yeah, I'm gonna put
So
him big.
I've got 8 monster rod holders on here. I've got two, one on each side here. You can see, and I use those. Those are my outside planer boards when I'm dragging. That's the ones I use for my outside boards. And then if I want to suspend fish, that's what I like about the talons. I can just take the rod, and now it's laid down, and it's at I think it's a 5 degree angle. Is that right, Steve?
Yes, sir.
So then I'm set up to suspend fish, and I'll do this rod that way and that rod that way, and usually this one right out the middle next to my net here. They'll be suspended straight under me, and then I can cast these other 4 rods out and just spread them out. What I call a wishful bite, and I've got those on the back on a rod rack that I built. Just basically, I set that up just for dragging. I mean, that's my main thing that I do. Tournament fishing that produces a lot of fish and almost always guaranteed to catch fish. So I built this rod rack. Actually, I got this aluminum from Steve as well. Something he had laying over from another project he had. And like I said, I'll suspend those 2 rods and then this one. And I usually keep my net in one of these. If I want to run a rod right here, if I want to add another rod to my arsenal back here, I'll lay the net up front. And that's just because I haven't took time. I want to mount another rod holder on this box for my net, but being on the road fishing all the time, you don't get to do all the projects that you always want to do. But then I've got the hydro web net. If y'all watch my videos, you've seen I've landed some 50s and 60s in that. That's the HD 40.
Yep.
And I've landed 50s and 60s in that net with ease. I mean, extreme ease. I couldn't imagine how easy it is to get a fish in the HD 150. I did take my net apart, and I think Steve actually changed this. I did a video. I took this net handle all the way apart, and I stuffed it full of pool noodles to make it float because
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at dropping things off my kayak. So, if did you
That's pretty
change
smart.
that, Steve? Did you add flotation?
Yeah. Yeah, we got flotation in them now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But if you have one of the older ones, I've got a video on my channel. You can take it and stuff it full of pool noodles, and it'll float. Or Steve would rather see you go buy a new one and get one that floats, I'd say. But
Mm-hmm. I've never seen the 40. Can you hold it up compared to you?
um, well, I mean, I'm a big guy, but
Oh no, you holding the phone, so never mind. That's okay.
I, I can probably get it in here like this. I don't know. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
I'm 6'5", 240 pounds. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
other
never
than
saw
the
actually
monster
saw
rod
the 40
holders,
before.
my rod holder brackets are also monster rod holder that I have on the track mounts here. These are monster rod holder track mounts. I think you actually designed them for a boat, didn't you, Steve? But
No, they're for the kayaks.
okay,
I've
yep,
got I've
I've
got one
never,
base for the kayaks for the kayak tracks.
yep. They've got the little twist lock bolts made for these T tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Really easy to put on, easy to move if you want to move them around. Lightweight. That was the big thing when I first started using the monster rod holders. Is everybody said, "Oh, they're so heavy, you can't have them on a kayak." I lost a couple of rods with plastic rod holders, so I said, "Well, I'll build a kayak that'll hold the metal ones up." And I've not lost a rod yet with monster rod holders. So
Well, they don't weigh but a pound apiece. I don't know what people are talking about. What do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is 6 pounds really make a difference in a kayak?
it would if you were on a cheap kayak, I think, but it's not just that 6 pounds. I mean, you figure that 6 pounds plus most of your kayak guys want to run the smaller rod and reels, and I run, the Abu 7000s and the Muddy River rods and the Penn Squall 20s. But it, if there's a wheel, there's a way, and if something's breaking, you got to replace it with something that don't.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're breaking plastic rod holders, the next logical thing up is go to monster rod holders. I mean,
I
I'm
use
trying to get
mine
Steve
the
out on a
grip
kayak with
stuff.
me. And what's
Do
that,
you move
Jody?
your kayak around by the rod holders and stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll when I have to haul it on the double trailer, we'll pick it
Mm-hmm.
up by the rod holders. They're
Mm-hmm.
on there.
Yep.
I mean, I can flex the side of the kayak before the rod holder gives. You can see the side of the kayak's what's bending right there. So
Mm-hmm.
a fish would literally have to rip the side out of my kayak to get my rod.
Yeah.
What's the
That's a
biggest
pretty
one you've
nice
had to hold
setup.
up?
The biggest fish I've landed so far was 81 pounds. I was in the Ohio River up in Louisville.
Oh, awesome.
Now that's not a weight measurement. We don't have a way to get an accurate weight measurement on a fish that big unless we go to the bank. So that was with length times width times girth or whatever. I can't remember what it is
Right.
now. I had to look it up so I could do it with that fish.
Well, that's a
We
good
don't
fish.
we don't really go by weight. We go by how long they are for all of our events.
How
So
long of a
that
ride
fish,
did you take when you had him? Does he
I
pull
it
you
was a
around?
yeah. That was before I had a spot lock trolling motor too. So I went for a ride, probably a quarter mile upriver
Oh,
before I got the fish to where I could get a hold of it and deal with it. So
You have
it
the
was
John
it was
Boat base
definitely an
for round
adventure.
edges.
I
And I
do. They're
was
still on the site.
actually suspend fishing when that fish hit, so the kayak and the rod holder took the brunt of that.
Oh yeah, that's fun to watch them take down like that.
Yeah, especially when you're in 12, 14 foot of water and they hit like that. It's there ain't no give in nothing, but you're going with him and going where he wants to go.
Yeah,
All you can do is hold on. I mean, you can't gain no ground on him because he's just taking you with him. You're just there for the ride.
yeah.
Now that I've got spot lock and GPS and all that on my trolling motor, that actually causes me a headache sometimes. I actually got a video uploading right now that shows I was spot locked and had rods casted out and rods suspended and hooked a 30, 40 pound flathead, and it spun me around in a circle. Spot lock the trolling motor didn't move, but the whole rest of the kayak went around it. So
Well, what's your setup when you suspend drifting? How you set your rig, not your rod and reel, but your tackle rig? What you use a Carolina rig or?
I actually have one set up here right now. Actually, no, I don't. No, they're all broke off from being up there in them rocks at Louisville. But
When
it's
did you go
just
to
a
Louisville?
simple Carolina rig. Um,
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll run the double hook rigs on them. Sometimes I won't. I kind of have a unique to me dragon rig that I use here that I can show y'all. And I had this one just casting it out up at the river the other day, so it's set up, just not with a dragon weight on it. So I come off my main line there, and that should be a dragon weight, but like I said, I was anchored up in the river. And then I come down, and I tie what they call a T knot, or dropper loop, a T knot. So everybody calls it something different. Come up to my float or my rattle, and then I've got a double hook rig on the back for one big bait. So what I generally will do is I'll run a giant bait back here, half a skipjack or something, and a smaller bait up here, and that gives me, as it's going through the water, I've got a bait high and low while I'm dragging. And where that comes in at places like Ohio, where I've got a 3 rod limit, and you can only have 3 baits in the water basically. So I've come up with that so I can have 6 baits in the water with 3 rods.
Mm-hmm.
And actually at
Smart.
Sandusky Bay, when I was up there for that tournament, I had 3 baits on. I had a bait here, a bait here, and a bait here, because the channel cats are so bad just to hit and peck and take your bait. That way you're not reeling rods in and checking bait every 5 minutes.
that was a fun place for me to fish. I've never experienced fish like that before.
It's
As
I
far as
tell
the
everybody
bite,
it's fun for the first 4 hours.
yeah,
After 4 hours, I'm done. I'm ready to quit.
yeah, yeah. You
And
said you'd make 6 rods out, and before you had a chance to sit down and look at them, you done got 2 rods going down, and that was like all day long.
with those rigs there that I just showed you, I have literally caught 3 fish at a time on the same rod up there.
Yeah,
I've
that
had
thing's
5 and
infested with
6
channel cats.
fish. Yeah, you just and they're big channel cats. I mean, you'll get 10, 15 pounders average, and then you'll come up and smack a 20 here and there. But that was my deal with our tournament up there this time. I just couldn't find them 20s.
They might have been spawning up there when you all went up there.
I was uh I was the week after you was there, I think, is when I was there.
Yeah, they was just getting ready to go on when I was up there.
And actually I fished some of the same spots that you and Ray did. Me and him kind of talked through our game plans when he was picking you up. We kind of ran through our game plans of what we thought the fish should be doing, and
Right.
Ray's game plan was a little better than mine, I think.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun up there.
3 fish at a time. That's like skipjacking.
I have had hotter action up there channel catfishing, Jody, than I ever have skipjack fishing. I believe the first
Yeah.
year I went up there, I had 3 rods out with double hook rigs on them, and within 15 minutes, I had 5 fish in the floor of the kayak and no rods in the water.
Wow.
It's a different place.
Jody, you been out lately?
Um, yeah, I did okay this week. I didn't get to fish as much as I wanted to. I had battery issues.
On your
My
pontoon
trolling,
or your new boat?
my new one, my trolling motor batteries went dead on me, and then a couple of times, and I tried to anchor and I couldn't do it successfully.
Oh,
So, but I was in current and I was running them at 10, so part of that was my fault. I'm still learning, you know.
ah,
So
where'd you find current at?
below the dam, I was skipjacking, and then I'd catch bait, then I'd drop down and catfish, you know.
Oh,
And by the time I dropped down to catfish, my batteries was eat up.
oh no.
Yeah, and then I killed my starting battery, and James had to come tow me in one night.
Well, ain't that's always something, ain't it?
Yeah, I still pulled a 40, a 30, and a 22, so it wasn't that bad. But I wanted to stay all night.
The flatheads doing anything down there yet?
I ain't seen one.
Really?
Mm-mm. Nope. I've not been going
If I
too
was
far
back,
because of my boat. You know, I'm still. I have to have a little. I have to have help pulling it out of the water because I'm steps on the trailer.
Oh,
So James backs. He comes and picks me up overnight when I'm ready to go in.
well, that's good.
Hmm.
Ryan, where are you located right now?
I am in Willisburg, Kentucky, in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you might have some rain coming soon. We're just now getting some rain, but that siren, we live in a little small town, Lebanon Junction, and that siren's been going off for about an hour. I think there's tornado warnings and all that stuff. So we fixing
I
to get
see
us a storm here in a minute.
Louisville had it. It looks like it's all going to stay west of me and go. It's coming from the south and going north. So
Right.
if we get anything, I don't think it'll be much. But we went out last night. I went down and fished with Bobcat Outdoors there, and we was bumping the dam. I think we fished about 3 hours and had somewhere around 15 or 20 fish. Had our first double up bumping. We both hooked up at the same exact time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good video. And he caught what we call a kayak mike fish. It was about 32 inches long and weighed 38 pounds.
Oh
It was a chunky little feller.
yeah.
I had to go down and take a load of planer boards down. That's my new little adventure. I'm making all the B-Cat planer boards now.
Oh yeah.
So I had to take a load of them down. And while I was down there, I called Bob. I said, "You want to fish?" And he said, "You got bait?" And I said, "Well, I'll start sending some messages right now." And I ended up getting a hold of Josh Thompson from Thompson Outdoors. He said, "I've got you. Come on by."
Oh well, good.
Yep.
So the wife said, "I knew you wouldn't go to Tennessee and not fish."
There's Josh right now.
I can't go down there and not fish.
Hmm.
When you live
I'm
around
glad
here,
I'm glad you reminded me of that Josh Thompson. I was supposed to get back with him on some monster rod holder stuff. I just been so daggone busy.
he's a really good guy. I like Josh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They've got a pretty good little business going there too. He's seems to pretty consistently have fresh skipjack. He seems to always have at least frozen bait. They got a little assortment of about any kind of tackle you want in there.
Right.
He told me last night. I think they're working on getting their license to set up and sell food. So
Oh.
it'd be nice to be right there on the Tennessee River and be able to go up there and get something good to eat.
Right.
There he is saying, "Steve, we got to get some rod holders."
Yeah, I'm glad somebody reminded me about that. I got a lot going on. A lot of people don't know what I got going on. I've been keeping it quiet, but one of the I'll let it loose a little bit. One of the largest corporations in America is not liking my name, Monster. So I'm dealing with a little bit of legal stuff there. So um, yeah, it's taking up a lot of time and a lot of energy to fight these big corporations. So I apologize for not getting with you, Josh. You're on my radar
I,
now, though.
I would say they are y'all are prepping for CatCon already, ain't you, Steve?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
yeah.
know you got yours.
I generally start that after the ICAST show, which is like middle of July. I'll start calling
Okay.
people because nobody wants to talk to me while they're at ICAST.
I've never
Hey,
been to
Danny.
that. I've wanted to go to that, and I never have had the opportunity to go down for it.
Well, I don't know if it's like it wouldn't be like the Catfish Conference. It would be more corporate down there. It probably I haven't been to one either, but it's probably not as friendly.
Yeah,
For the everyday average guy, you'd have to be some kind of outdoor. I don't know what you want to call it. Big names.
you got to be
I
a big.
can't.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's all about vendors and stuff down there.
but that's where they release all the new product for the year. You know, that's where all the
Yeah.
companies have their big release debuts and all that. And it's a lot of times it's the first time people get to lay hands on a product.
Hmm.
It's real big in the bass world.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish they'd get more catfish stuff down there, but there's just not a lot of. I don't want to say. I'm not even one of them powerful. Like a Pradco or something like that in the catfishing world.
It's
There's
coming. It's just going to take a little more time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good folks in the catfish. Don't get me wrong, but there's just not the guys that can spend $10,000 to go down there and set up their stuff. I guess you
Yeah,
want to say it's
exactly.
expensive down
Hmm.
there. CatCon booth's going to cost you, $500. A booth down there is probably going to cost you $5,000 for a small one. So it's tough on the little man, but I'd say it might be fun just to look at all the new stuff. But now the catfish conference is for the everyday average Joe. Come on in and you can still see
Hmm.
all the new stuff in the catfishing world.
And you get to
I've
meet so
never
many
run
people.
into anybody at CatCon that didn't talk to me like
Hmm.
they've known me their whole life.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. When they see you guys on the video, they get starstruck down there.
But my first experience with anything in the catfish community was actually CatCon, and I mean I basically come straight into the catfish world from the bass world and didn't know any companies. I had never even seen a Steve Douglas video. You know, I knew that to go catfishing you needed bait and a big fishing rod. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I knew about it. And I showed up at the CatCon and I was, wow, you know, I kind of didn't know which way to go first because I didn't know what anything was. But I mean, everybody I talked to was more than glad to help me and go through there and picked out what I wanted. And I've been through 10,000 different things of each one of them between then and now, but I seem to always come back to the same combinations of stuff here.
Yeah. Well, if it works, don't change it.
Well, that's like I told somebody the other day. They was talking about suspend drifting being an outdated tactic. I said, Steve Douglas has won more money than me and you either one will ever see suspend drifting. You know,
Yeah.
fish didn't quit liking it overnight just because somebody come up with something different. It still works.
It
We're just
does
most
work,
of us
but
is too lazy to do it.
it does work, but I do feel pretty strongly that fish have gotten conditioned to that a little bit.
I
As
think the
far as
fishermen have got too lazy to do it a lot too. Myself included in that. I mean, if I can drag baits or suspend drift, I don't have to touch them rods to drag baits. If I'm suspend drifting, I'm constantly running from one rod to the next and watching the graph and You know,
Yeah.
keeping them off the
Mhm.
bottom and dropping them down when I come off a hole, or it's a ton of work. You know,
But
if
it
I'm
pays
dragging,
off.
I can set out 8 rods and go till I get one hung up or get a fish.
Yeah, that was my go-to big thing when I first started. I had a little old dude, about 78 years old, teach me that. Well, he told me that it could be done. He didn't show me nothing because we just met at the dock, but he was telling me how it was done. And I went home, took a shower, and I come back out and did it. And man, I started catching fish. And that was
But
probably 2006.
and back then, dragging really wasn't a big thing yet, was it?
It was not as common as it is now, but it was there. You know, a lot of Sandy Cooper
Mhm.
guys did it. I've got videos on it way back, 15 years ago. I'm fixing to bring something out that's been around for many, many years. I've tested it a little bit, but I'm gonna test it down at Vicksburg in a couple weeks. It's a bumping rig that I'm gonna start using. So
Okay.
I'll let everybody know about that. I've caught some fish on it so far, but I just want to make sure it's the difference because I'm gonna be fishing with some guys that don't use it, and I'm gonna be using it. I want to see if there's a difference in it.
I'm
So
kind of
that's
interested to see what it is because if you pay attention in my videos, I've usually got my bumping rod with me because I like to go to the dams to fish because it's easy fishing, to be honest
Mhm.
with you. I mean, you may not, that's not the way to catch the biggest fish most of the time, but it's a good way to catch a lot of fish.
well, it's a
But I
rig.
have
I
my
did I
bumping
did a
rod with.
video. I did a video on it, yeah, years and years ago, and it was for in current, but I've adapted it for bumping, which is in current anyway. But I used it for anchoring. But I still got the video out there. I was looking at it the other day, and I thought that's a dang good idea. How come I ain't doing that anymore? Nobody else is doing it.
And you know, that's what it takes a lot of times is to find something that nobody else is doing. It's well known in the bass world that you have to do this, but the catfish world, everybody tends to kind of fall into doing the same thing. In the bass world, everybody knows you've got to do something different than what that lake's seen done every day,
Yeah,
day in and day out. And it really wasn't a big deal in the catfish side of it until I guess COVID hit and everybody, the sport grew and the fish started seeing a lot more pressure. But now you've got to find something that everybody else ain't doing and try to target some different fish or target them in a different way.
yeah. Put that chicken on the hook.
Chicken.
Everybody seems to
You
be
and me
doing
both
that.
knows.
Mhm.
You and me both knows if it comes down to me fishing with chicken, I'm probably going home most of the time.
Yeah, that's a Tennessee thing there. They don't want
Well,
nobody fishing with chicken.
it's always worked forever, but nobody's ever really pressed the issue. Skipjack was so easy to get, but look, they put
Mhm.
some regulations on that stuff now, so I don't know what some of these guys are going to be doing that used to buy
Yep.
bait and used to
Mhm.
sell bait. But I like it when people have to go out and catch their own bait. That makes them a better
That's what
fisherman.
I started to say. They're gonna have to learn to work for it like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, I've drove 500 miles before to get bait just to go fishing. 500 miles away from where I
They
was got bait.
I went down and fished a tournament with Paula Smith down on the Cumberland River, and I drove all the way to Pickwick from Clarksville to get skipjack, and then drove back up there for the tournament.
Yeah. Well, you know what's happening. You know what it's like.
I mean, if
You know,
I'm going to sign
catfishing.
up and
See,
put
you
my
shouldn't
money
have to
on
work that
entry
hard to
fee,
go catfishing.
Mhm. I
but
don't
if
like
you
using
do, you
bluegill
got to be
though.
willing. To me, you just got to be willing to put in the extra work that somebody else ain't going to put in. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, the catfishing's the easy part. It's the bait getting. It's the rough part.
Mhm. Yeah. Do y'all like using bluegill?
I will use bluegill, but I've recently learned to fish for bluegill where I normally wouldn't think they were. and I was pretty successful at catching them. So I think I could go catch them for bait now. An old boy down in Tennessee lives in Old Hickory. I went down with him, and he showed me how to catch these things, and that was a lot of fun on light tackle. But yeah, I never would have guessed the bluegill would have been where they were at, and they were out in the middle of the lake on a drop, and it was really easy to catch them. So I may start using more bluegill if the skipjack are getting thin. Are you not having
I'll
luck?
cast that bluegill. I get my bluegill in the cast net most of the time.
Well, when I was
It's
younger
legal.
and when I was younger and had all the steam like Ryan's got right now, I
Mhm.
used to have traps. I'd sit all around the country, like minnow traps and bluegill traps. Now, I don't want to say all around the country, but all around in my area where I could go check them, and I'd get bluegills that way and fish with them.
That's a Kentucky term, Steve, that most people don't understand when you say around the country. That means around your house.
Right. Yeah.
Someone's got a question. Steve Douglas, how do you fish no current? Do you anchor or use trolling motor? Some people say spot lock does not work well with no current.
If I have no current, I'm gonna be the current. I'm gonna use my trolling motor and I'm gonna move. I won't try to sit in one spot. Now I may spot lock over one log or something, and the boat's just going to do this all day. But it's all right moving back and forth. But if there's no current, I'm gonna pull, and I'm either going to drag or most likely I'm going to suspend drift. That's my game is suspend drifting. And one of the things, if guys are not familiar with suspend drifting, don't go out there and try to do it with like 3-ounce weights. It's not going to work. Use 8s or 10s, get your baits down there, and that way when you're moving along, your baits are going to be exactly where you want them. If you're using 3-ounce, then they're kind of leaning back, coming up off the bottom. So that's why I use heavy weights to get them down and stick where they're at. That's what I would do with no current, like in a lake. Yeah.
I've got 16s.
Well, I don't use 16s unless I'm in the Mississippi River, and I use up to 24s on the Mississippi River. But like Pickwick or Wilson or one of them lakes that has no current down in the lake, I make my own current. I'll find specific areas to fish, ledges and things like that, but I won't try to anchor on stuff like that with no current. Now, if you do have current, that's better. You can find them same kind of spots and anchor on them, and you're going to be golden.
I was telling somebody that the other day. I'm glad that I started my catfishing journey on a lake, because when you go from a lake to a river, everything gets easier. Current forces the fish into certain areas, and on a lake, a lot of times they can just roam around. I mean,
they get scattered on a lake.
Yeah. When you get on the river and you got that current, them fish have to go to certain places, and it makes it a lot easier to find them.
Yeah, when you suspend drifting on a river too, and you run into a good spot. I don't know if this happened to you or not, but I've had as many as 6 rods go down at one time, have 6 fish on. Back when I first started doing it, like in the early 2000s, those fish used to run in like what I used to call wolf packs. There'd be 3 or 4 big 40+ pound fish just roaming around. And man, when you get in a school of them and they all go down at once, it's chaos. But I don't experience that much anymore, and it's probably because of the pay lake issue and all that stuff.
I was up at Louisville 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and the video I got uploading right now is I tripled up in the end of that video with 2 flatheads. It was about 40 pounds, and then a small blue cat, and then just before when them rods went down, I had just put back another 30-pound flathead or something. But I fished all night, and I had already fished that area twice, and seen the fish there. I knew they was there. I just couldn't make them eat.
Did you fish at the upper?
Yeah. And
a lot of folks can't get up there to that spot.
Well, it was so low then we had to drag our kayaks to get up there.
Oh, really?
And that's when I like it. When the boat guys can't get up there and put no pressure on them, that's when I like to go up there. You have to drag in and drag out. But
I was easing up there one year and it was kind of low and I was going slow. I kind of know where to go, what path to take. But I looked overboard a little bit and there was a 40 horse Honda motor in about 4 foot of water right there. Somebody lost it.
It's a treacherous place to get into. I ripped the trolling motor off my kayak up there last year,
Yeah.
but now it's well worth the work it takes to get to them, especially when it's like it is right now. You got, post spawn, the fish are starting to come off. They're hungry. The boat guys can't get in there.
Yeah.
It really just pays off.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks that run up there during tournaments. They know the path. About 12 or 13 on the gauge is about all I want if I'm going to take my boat up there. But
Yeah.
15 to 17, you're golden. You can just go up there and probably not hit nothing.
I tell everybody 14 would be my cutoff if I was taking a boat up there and me knowing the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably made well over 100 trips in and out of there now, mostly on the kayak, but 14 would be my cutoff. And part of that being because every year I go up there, that trail that you have to take changes just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, when the winter floods hit, you can't even see that dam anymore up there. I mean, I know you've seen it. It's kind of odd. They got a camera up there now, a live webcam.
Oh yeah.
Water gets up, you can't even tell there's a dam there. It just looks like river flowing through.
Yeah. Yeah, but when it's down, it's there.
Yeah. Yep.
Just got a question. Steve or Ryan, do you use remote control trolling or use your fish finder control drift to follow your contour lines?
Both. I use both.
I'm old school. I got a depth finder that doesn't match up to my trolling motor. I run the Lowrance, but I got a Minn Kota trolling motor. So I don't even really look for fish. I look more for contours, where the fish are going to hold, and that's I use a map more than I use my depth finder when I'm fishing.
Now, since I got live scope, if I'm pre-fishing for a tournament, I will run around looking at that side scan more than what I actually pre-fish for a tournament. Like if I'm in Tennessee for a week before a tournament, I run around looking at that side scan, and then when I see some fish on it, then I'll take and run over there with my live scope, and that's when I try to see what they are. And then when I find an area that has a lot of good fish in it, then that's where I'll make a pass. And I won't even run like I've got 8 rods set up. I won't even run 8 rods through there. I'll run 3 rods through there. And if I hook a fish, that's it. I'm packing up and leaving. I've seen what I need to see.
Well, that stuff don't always work, man. I'm a believer now to where if you can catch them, you better catch them because you ain't going to catch them. You ain't going to catch them tomorrow. Somebody's going to come in there. I did that exact same thing one time below Smithland Dam. And I just knew I was going to win the tournament the next day and go up there. And commercial guys got trout lines running all the way across. And me and another guy got all tangled up in. I had 6 rods go down all at one time. I was excited. And I just made a pass through there the night before and caught a couple 40-pounders. And I come in there the next day, trout lines all over that damn thing.
I had that happen up at our Owensboro tournament this year. I was pre-fishing up at I was at that ramp below Cannleton Dam. And I don't know, what is that ramp? A couple miles below the dam, 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
I had run up about 3/4 of a mile there, and there is a really nice hard rock ledge right there. I mean, got some boulders in it. You couldn't suspend drift it if your life depended on it. It's so rough. But I got up there and I set up on it, and I caught 6 fish in about 5 minutes. And I said, oh, that's it. I'm leaving. I moved down about 300 yards to another little rock pile area I had found. As soon as I started setting up, the commercial guys dropped their hoop nets up there right on that ledge where I'd been just fishing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the world we live in. That's if you're going to be a tournament angler, that's something you have to deal with for now. So.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let you young guys do that tournament stuff. I got a few big ones I do each year, but that running around, I think I'm kind of done with that. I did it for 20 years.
So let me ask you this. You've got a lot of experience in it. I know my answer. Do you feel like running around the country fishing tournaments made you a better angler?
Yeah, I guess different conditions. I learned some stuff. I'll tell you that. I can go most anywhere and catch fish now, but um, yeah, I'd say it put me in different situations. I mean, I fished the Mississippi River up beyond where there's no blues and there's nothing but flatheads and channels, and that river's a little different than the river down, say, in St. Louis or Vicksburg or something like that. It's two different rivers, even though it's the same river. It's two different rivers.
Yeah.
Up north, it's real wide and shallow and got islands all up in it, and down south, it's nothing but sandbars and dunes, and yeah, it's a whole different river. But yeah, I've learned a lot fishing around the country. Spent a lot of money to learn that.
Yeah. For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
when I first started, it was like 2008, 2009, really hard. Gas was almost $5 a gallon. It was killing me, and I had that Ranger boat with that 300 250 on it, and it ate gas. It was about a mile per gallon. So
But you could go real fast.
I could go real fast. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'd say fishing around the country learns you some stuff. Now, whether it's going to benefit me later, I don't know. Other than just fishing, I don't know if you could profit off of knowing all that stuff. Now that I know what I know.
Yeah. I think it's hurt me fishing our local lake here at Taylorsville. I used to could go down here and catch fish about every trip. It was, I mean, I ain't bragging, but it was rare for me to have a skunk trip. And now when I go there, it seems like I get skunked more than I catch fish.
I'm the same way. I tell you, man, when I fished Taylorsville 20 years ago or more, they had some of the biggest channel cats in it you ever seen. They had 20 pounders in it, and it was regular, on the regular. And then they put them blues in there probably around 2002, maybe something like that, 2003.
It's been right at 20 years. Yep.
Yeah, and then it seems like everybody just started going out there throwing them jugs. Yeah, I used to never see jugs out there.
That's a big issue there right now.
But you can't catch a decent channel cat out of there anymore. I mean, these are some big meathead 20 pounders, 18, 20 pounders.
There's a little local lake here. I'm not going to mention on here, but it's a local lake semi close to me, and it's produced 2 state record channel cats in the last 2 years that guys didn't even turn in because they didn't want nobody to know they're in there.
Oh, that's smart.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you had a bass boat. What's the advantages or disadvantages now? I'd love to have my bass boat. I tell you, a fiberglass boat is a lot smoother on rough water, but you still can't, do 70 mile an hour on rough water like on the Mississippi River or whatever. The benefits of that bass boat was I could drift anywhere and the wind wouldn't take me nowhere. The wind would just go right over top of me, so I could control it a lot better. Disadvantage is, you don't have a big live well. Of course, I made the live well at mine. I took a Sawzall to it and made a 5 foot by 2 foot live well behind my gas tank, and fiberglassed it all up. So I'd fish out of a bass boat again. Heck yeah. But I've done gotten old, and I've got an old man's boat now. I got one with a cab on it and a heater. I'm a big wuss now, but I paid my dues over them 20 years. I sat out in the rain quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
You get that skinny water with that bass boat too.
Yeah, for sure. My boat I got now probably don't tread no more than about 1.5 feet in the water, if that. The motor was going to hit before the boat does.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do too bad, but the wind doesn't like my new boat, or boat I have now. It's got the cab on it and it blows it everywhere. I had to actually relearn how to fish out of it.
I love boats like that. You got all that room. It's like you're in a truck. You cab of the truck and the truck bed you're fishing out of.
Yeah, well, the benefits of my new boat is you don't get wet. You can heat it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't air conditioned it yet, but yeah, and when you're going down the lake in the wintertime, it's just like the wind don't hit you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference moving. You can tolerate fish until you move.
Yeah.
Then the wind gets you. Josh Thompson from the bait store wants to know if he can get a sticker from you two for his front door.
I gave him one last night if I'd have thought about having them in the van.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of him tomorrow. soon. I don't want to say tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to get a hold of him tomorrow soon. And yeah, I'll get him a sticker put on his front door, big old sticker. I got one 3 foot wide if he wants to put it on the front door.
And someone's asking about Justin Johnson. About you, Ryan.
Well, they won't know.
He likes how your camaraderie and how you have fun poking with each other.
Oh, we definitely have a good time. That's for sure. If y'all think we have a good time on camera, you should see us without them.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we definitely have a good time. I told somebody a long time ago, when I quit having fun at this, that's when I'll quit doing it. But I don't think that day will ever come.
Yeah. So how is your kayak series going?
I am second in points right now, right behind Justin Johnson. And me and him have kind of pulled away from everybody else pretty far. I don't know. I don't remember what the exact points are. I know if I finish on the podium in the next tournament, I pass Justin unless he wins. And pretty much the third place guy would have to win all 3 events to pass either one of us. So
Okay. That's great. Good job. How did you feel about not getting to fish for the Tennessee belt this time?
well, I was kind of aggravated about it till I went to Hoover and cashed a check, and then I was all right with it. And then I come home and seen what Ray Ferguson done. And I said, "Well, I'm glad I wasn't on there for that embarrassment."
He put everybody to shame. They might as well just went on to bed.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna give it to Donnie. I think Donnie helped him do that.
Yeah.
That was all Donnie.
Yeah, it's all Donnie.
Mm-hmm. He brought in a ringer. Ray did.
He brought in the ringer, didn't he?
The fountain definitely got a horseshoe tied to them somewhere. That's for sure. Them guys does good everywhere they go.
They've paid their dues, man, over the years.
Yeah.
I used to watch them boys in little bitty old Sea Arc beat all the heck, and half rod holders were bent. But now look at them now; they're winning everything they do. So
Yeah, they took the points championship last year in the King Cat Trail. I seen a post where Scott from King Cat, I think he had put it out. I think they won $170-some thousand last year altogether just in the King Cat Trail. That's doing the most in the catfish world.
yeah, I don't know if that's just King Cat or not, because I think part of it was that boat they won at MRM.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah, it's better than anybody else has done in the country. That's for sure.
yeah, it's
Very impressive.
But they pay their dues. They're good Christian folks, and I
they
think
put
that.
in work too. I mean, they go somewhere, like I was talking about a minute ago. When I go to a tournament, I'll go stay a week. Them guys does it every tournament. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it takes. You've got to go figure it out.
Right.
You got to put them hours in riding around and scanning and looking for them ledges and holes and drop
Put in your
offs.
dues. Yep.
And I'm sure they're going to places they've already been most of the time now, so they've kind of got a backlog of information from years past.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're going to tournament fish, that's what you got to do. I mean, if you're paying attention to what you're doing now, if you're going to be in it 10 years from now, all this information you're grabbing. I mean, I'd love to still fish tournaments if I could, but man, when you own a business that you're supplying supplies to other fishermen, your fishing kind of goes on the background. I'll just have to warn people about that. If you get into catfishing to want to get into the business, then plan on doing that business. But if you just want to go fishing, just go fishing and leave the business alone. Let somebody else do it.
I just spent a week and a half out here making planer boards every day.
Well, watch what you do is you won't be fishing anymore. You'll be making planer boards. I promise. Yeah. I promise you.
Right. We've already kind of discussed that. And when it gets past a certain point, I'm going to move away and have other people that do it. So
yeah. I mean, I have fun with what I do, and I appreciate the business I get from everybody. But if I could really just go out and go fishing and not have to deal with business, that's where I'd rather be. But I've kind of put myself in this position over the years. But like I say, it's fun. I enjoy meeting all the people and watching the catfish industry grow. That's what's
Mhm.
fun about it.
I guess you kind of get that gratification, kind of like a guide when you take somebody out and put them on a big fish, don't you, Steve? I
Yeah,
mean, you get to see all these pictures. Well, we've used monster rod holders and caught these big fish and little kids with the smiles on their face. I guess that's your gratification of it now,
yeah,
is getting to go out and catch the fish.
yeah.
Mhm.
With my YouTube videos, I used to like to teach people how to do some things, and I kind of miss that a little bit too. I try to put a video out every time I can, but I don't get to go fish. Jody, my boat still ain't been moved since I last seen you, and that was May 17th, wasn't it?
That
Yeah.
And it's
the
still
gathering.
got a cooler full of skipjack that James gave me inside my boat.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
I discovered it about 3 weeks after I fished, and I just let it do its thing. It ain't smelling out there no more, so
There's nothing left in it.
yeah, I'm gonna pick up the cooler and I'm gonna just throw it away.
I would
is
too.
that something that all cat fishermen do? Is forget the bait in the cooler for a few days?
Some
Yeah.
it happens.
I
Hmm.
spent part of the day before yesterday, cleaning out bait coolers from the Hoover trip a week ago.
Oh yeah, yeah, it can get nasty.
I learned real quick not to put them in the van for any reason whatsoever.
Well, Jody,
Josh is
next week, if you want to try to maybe give away some rod holders, I'd be happy to do that. I got a new color rod
okay.
holder that might tickle people's fancy. If they got camouflage John boats and stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know if
I've
y'all.
seen those on Facebook. Awesome. I should be able to do it next week. I'm getting a laptop this week, so I'll be able to do the giveaway tool next week.
Yeah.
Let me
So
put you
those are
solo.
pretty cool. If you're gonna, it's supposed to be like an OD green, but they call
Hmm.
it military green, but it'll go good with the boats,
Oh
the
yeah, definitely.
boats and all that.
Now, do them
Yeah.
come the talons as well, Steve, or just the?
Yeah, I'm gonna have them in the talons as well. Yep. So if you now next week you want to give away some rod holders, and if anybody on here is interested in the rod holders, I would say you could use Jody's coupon code, and tell them what that is, Jody.
Jody 10.
Jody 10. Yeah, you get 10% off your purchase of the rod holders
And your tickets at CatCon
and the
if you
kit
want to
ticket
pre-order.
as well. Yep.
Yep.
And we've already got a lot of people asking about the hotel accommodations. I had to call Hervey today and say, hey, we got to get that settled. So he's going to call hopefully this week and get that particular hotel. You stayed at that hotel last year, didn't you, Jody?
Where they barbecued at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really, really nice hotel. And if you can get that booked before it's
Hmm.
full, but we should be announcing that next week as well.
I liked it because it was kind of off to the side, wasn't
Yeah.
on the main drag and everything, and you have a lot of road noise and stuff. You could actually sit out there and talk to people.
Yeah, that's why I chose that. I chose, there's some closer stuff, but I don't trust that part of town. I'm not saying it's
Hmm.
really bad, but this is the new part of town and it's safe and there's food around it. And
Yeah.
if you bring your own food, you can cook it right outside. It's got grills and all kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
All the YouTubers booked it last year, I think. We probably had 30 or 40 YouTubers out there grilling on Friday night.
I missed all that. I came home. I should have stayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good eating too. Everybody just brought a bunch of food in, and
Yeah.
everybody got down. I didn't get to cook, but Ray and Murillo, and I think Kevin helped cook some,
Right.
and they did really, really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got about 5 minutes left. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I think I've covered about everything.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
like I
I'm
say,
one of these believers. We don't have to do a whole hour. When it's over, it's over.
yeah. Well, just remember, if you need rod holders, use Jody's code, and y'all come back next week. We'll give away some rod holders. Maybe the week after that, I might give away a hydro-web net. We never know.
That'd be awesome.
I've had mine, what, Steve? 4 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And I ain't tore it up. If I ain't tore something up, you're gonna have a hard time tearing it up because I'm rough on stuff.
I'm the same way. I'm rough. I throw my rods around. I know some guys that put those little sleeves on them every time they're done.
Yeah.
I throw mine on the side of the boat and I'm gone.
And mine get through in the truck, the van now.
Yeah.
That's where it rides for a week till I go back or what have you.
Well, everything that I sell, I pretty much built for me to use. So if I'm going to use it, it's going to be good. And if I'm going to sell it to you, it's going to be good too. I stand behind everything that we sell. And I've been using a hydro-web net for probably 15 years.
I've never heard anyone say they regretted buying a monster rod holder or a monster rod net.
Well,
they've always bragged on their purchase after they got it.
Loved it. They're a lot better than what people imagine they are. When you look at a picture of them, it doesn't give them justice.
When you hold them in your hand, you see the difference and feel the difference.
Yeah. Well, I built them because I didn't want to get my dream fish taken away from me. It did like the first time it happened to me.
Yeah.
Which made me actually start the business.
If you're gonna lose a fish after you've got the hook in it, it's gonna be right beside you.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's when they come off. When they go to doing that flopping and flipping and all that on the surface, that's when they'll spit the hook at you.
Right.
Yep.
I've yet to lose a fish like that using a net, so I probably will next tournament now that I said that.
Yeah. Well, Jody, thanks for having us tonight again.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Ryan, for coming on and sharing your story. That's pretty cool. And I wish you all the luck in your tournament series this year. You won it last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I won it last year and got a real good shot this year. So
you need to take old kayak catfish out to a really large steak dinner the night before. And you eat a salad.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah. Either that or just getting his head a little bit the first hour of a tournament. I learned that. I learned that on this last video I done of a tournament. If I call him the first hour and I've got a good score up, he's in his head already, and he can't come out the rest of the day.
He's done. Well, good deal. Well, Jody, we'll let you close it out if you got to close it out. I appreciate you again.
All right. Well, thanks for coming up. Appreciate it, Steve. Appreciate it, Ryan. Had a good time. And thank everybody for coming and watching and talking in chat. And we'll see you next week on Tuesday at 6:30 again. And thanks for coming in. Bye, everybody.
See ya.